Welcome to the Exposer. So this will be a quick review of the Panorama that BBC put out yesterday. Right now there's a lot of mixed reception on social media because there's a lot of people who were happy that it came out. Some people were shocked, and we also have a lot of people who felt like the Panorama could have had more exposed. So it's quite a mixed reaction. And we know that Spac Nation tried to steal the limelight yesterday because they knew that everyone was going to be on their case. They knew that they were going to be trending yesterday. And we saw what their pastor did. We'll do another video discussing that. But back on the Panorama. First of all, I want to commend all of the ex-Spac Nation members alongside Vic Santoro, who also appeared on it, because his brother was also a victim of Spac Nation. I commend them for going on such a big platform and basically giving out their story of what happened to them. It was touching, and it took a lot of courage to be viewed by millions of people. Now, what I think 30 minutes was already too short, and I knew that it was impossible to fit in so much into a 30-minute episode. So I believe that it was actually, I believe the BBC did really well, because they still found a way of putting each member's story in the space of 30 minutes, which was quite hard. So they probably gave them about 5 minutes or 6 minutes each, which was quite short, but it's understandable because that's the time that they have to work with. And I'm also happy because it still shed a lot of light on what's going on in this disturbing organization. So it was very important for millions of people to view this. So I commend and I thank BBC for the Panorama that they did. Do I feel like more could have been exposed? Yes, I do. But at the same time, I believe the time that the BBC tried to do the investigation, it was already a bit difficult because Spac Nation had been exposed by then. So I believe it was harder to get a undercover person to go to Spac to try and find out what's going on, because Spac were already aware and paranoid that a lot already had come out. So I felt like the BBC really tried, and the fact that they were able to get 5 or 6 members and who were conned or knew someone that was conned at Spac Nation was also very important. It raised a lot of light. So I just want everyone to stay focused on the main objective. People shouldn't really be disappointed, because you have to take into account that 30 minutes is a very, very short time. When I edit an exposing video, for example, it takes a lot of time, and the video might end up being just 20 minutes. But believe me, the videos can be 2 to 3 hours. But can you imagine the amount of time and effort it will take to actually do that? So trying to put everything in to a 30 minutes is quite hard to do. And I feel like the BBC did okay with that. And I felt like they tried to do things within the legal means, because, again, a lot of the things that's been said has to be allegedly, because it's hard to prove facts with every single thing that's gone on at Spac. Meaning, you could have, the time that some of these members were at Spac Nation, they didn't doubt what Spac were doing. So it never came to the mind of thinking, you know what, let me try and record some of the dodgy things going on, or let me try and save messages, or let me try and save transactions. Because at that time where some of these members were there, they were probably under the influence of being brainwashed. And I believe I left, and being away from the church was the main priority. I feel like the exposing has made probably some of the ex-members reflect on the fact that they could have stayed there for a bit longer to try and gather more evidence. But the most important thing at the time for these members was to leave Spac Nation. So we have to understand that. That's why it's a bit hard for the BBC to kind of put out certain things that we know that are facts, because we know there's a lot of things that wasn't covered. But because it hasn't really been proven yet, I feel like they tried to expose what they could within the legal means. And some of the stories was quite touching. Now, I know a lot of the members that appeared on the Panorama last night, they won't know who I am or who the exposing team is, but a lot of us do know them, and from the time that we spent at Spac Nation also. So I can 100% defend everything that they were saying. And this is just 5 members. There's a lot more who are afraid to speak out. There's a lot more who are afraid. There's a lot more that have been traumatized by all these deaths. There's a lot more that have gone through depression. And there's a lot more who may never even come out. They just prefer to stay in the back. But they're praying for Spac Nation to get closed because they know what happened to them and they don't want that to happen to other people also. We know that hundreds of people have taken out loans at Spac Nation. Hundreds. We know that a lot of them are in debt. And we know that, in fact, majority of the ones that have taken out loans are still in the church. But you guys can clearly see how brainwashed they are. You guys can see how they're still under the influence of this man. And it's quite ridiculous to think that they would still want to be under the leadership of this man, despite all the evidence and all the proof that's come out. And what's more upsetting is that a lot of the members there know these people who have come out. A lot of the members in there know that there's a lot of people who are going through depression because of Spac Nation. But guess what? These guys do not even reach out. There's no consideration to the victims whatsoever. But like I mentioned, I'll be doing another video regarding what Spac Nation actually did yesterday and how disgusting their behavior was yesterday to actually undermine people who have gone through a lot because of their cult. People who are going through a lot of things right now. People who are depressed. People who are suffering because of them. Spac Nation showed no consideration towards the victim whatsoever. But back to these guys, I commend them, I thank them, and behind the scene, of course, our team was approached by the BBC and we tried to give out any bit of information that we could. We tried to encourage more members to basically contact the BBC to be part of this, but again, you guys need to understand a lot of people are still traumatized from their experience at Spac. They're still afraid, there's a lot of fear. They feel like Spac members will do something. So they're still afraid to kind of speak out. That's why they would message me behind the scene, and sometimes I will try to put their message out without really revealing who has said what. But it's only the beginning. I believe a lot more people will have more courage after seeing these young men and young women that came out to speak on the Panorama yesterday. I believe that it will definitely influence and encourage a lot more people to come out. And it will definitely encourage a lot more people to speak out against Spac Nation. Right now, the fight is still going on. So people, we need to stay focused on the task. There's no point trying to compare who's exposed what and who's done better at exposing. Yes, our platform has exposed a lot of members at Spac Nation, but we need to commend everyone else that spoke about Spac Nation, everyone else that's used that platform to raise a lot of awareness. So it's not a competition of who's exposing more than the other person. It's about closing down the organization. So I believe everyone needs to stay focused and support every single person that is exposing what's going on in this cult. So it was a quick review just to thank all of the members again, thank the BBC, thank everyone that took part of this Panorama, and commend them for the great work that they did yesterday. So if you haven't watched it, check it out on the BBC iPlayer or on my backup account, The Exposer 01. I also uploaded the whole episode there, so thank you again for all the support.